Hey, this is the Campfire Council and Thunder Hands Speaks. I'm Thunder Hands. Nice to meet you. If you haven't seen my videos before. What is religious freedom? I was thinking about that today. Religious, or even religious and sacred, because religious and sacred both mean the same thing. And a religion is defined as a belief system. A belief system. And when the quote, people on the Mayflower, the founding fathers came over here, they came over here for religious freedom, to have a right to have their religious freedom. And there's even international laws. There's the UN law, I think it's called the International Religious Freedom Law or something like that. And then there's the First Amendment to the Constitution that the leaders of this country, called the United States of America, developed. And then if you go beyond that, it's just kind of a universal law, isn't it? Well, let me tell you something that's stark and you may not realize it, but we don't have religious freedoms. We don't have sacred freedoms. They're gone, basically. Now you might say, well, what do you mean they're gone? I see churches everywhere, and I see people going in and out of the churches, and I see this and I see that. The Mormons say, yeah, we go out, we preach to people, or the Jehovah's Witnesses, or the whoever. We have religious freedom. Not everybody has what you would call religious freedom, and even the people that think they have religious freedom don't. Because religious freedom includes anything that you might want to use, any sacrament, any ritual. And believe me, if you look at the Catholic Church, you got tons of ritual, okay? Seems to be okay for them. But when the normal person, or let's say the native person or the indigenous person of this country, tried to practice certain religious or beliefs or sacred practices, they were banned, like say the sun dance with the Lakota people. Later on they may have been reinstituted, but that's just one example. So let's say I make up my own religion. Let's say, since a religion is a belief system, and this belief system again has to do with your interaction, okay, with what they call God, or also it's defined as the supernatural. You don't have to call it God. You can call it anything you want. Whatever your relationship is with that higher power, and some people call that higher power your higher self. Now when you put all these things together, you realize that you just can't believe the way you want to. And again, a good example of that is the sun dance. Let's say you're a Rastafarian and your part of your sacrament is smoking cannabis sativa, which is the technical name for hemp or marijuana. Or what if you're in a situation where they're saying, no, you can't do this certain thing, even though you might say, well, this is part of my belief system, this is my religion. How many things do you think that the government would tolerate, supposedly, if you took on certain sacraments or whatever. So there's always these limitations, okay, limitations. Now, the most basic premise of freedom of religion, or the freedom to practice one's own beliefs, is freedom. Freedom. There is no freedom, okay? Because there are all kinds of restrictions, although some government agencies are reluctant to intrude upon, in a blatant way, the prohibition of any kind of religious freedom, but yet there's people scattered all through the country, and this country and other countries, but let's just talk about this country right now, that are biased against other people that practice their religion in a certain way. And what was this country founded on? Well, it was founded on a lie if they say that, they came here for religious freedom. Because they started right off the bat restricting the spiritual beliefs and the religious. See, religious is just another word, like I said, for sacred or belief. Doesn't have to be an organized thing in the form of, like, say, the Presbyterian Church or the Catholic Church or the Mormons or the Seventh-day Adventists. And the government even tries to, at times, prescribe what can be considered ritual in a religion, or it's on the edge. Okay. Well, it's really not on the edge, because they just tell you can't do certain things, no matter whether it's your religion or not. Let's take another example. Let's say that a white person, or a person that is not of the indigenous races, chooses to accept the religion or the spirituality of those indigenous people, and one of these rituals is having, let's say, an eagle feather or a hawk feather. That's a federal offense, okay? And you have to have certain this, and even some Native Americans can't even, they get arrested for violating a federal offense. And what does the Constitution say? There shall be no law, okay, that will supersede the person's law or right to freedom of religion and their ritual. So it's a basic, blatant lie. And not only that, but you'll find that most religions don't like the fact that other people practice their religion, because it's in conflict with their truth. Everything can be a religion. I mean, government's kind of a religion, isn't it? They have their sets of rituals that they go through. Bankers, I mean, lawyers, bankers, doctors, it's almost religious. It's a belief system. It's a belief in a certain way. It's like medicine. There's the natural way, and then there's the scientific way, and then, or religion, or anything. People can go in and out of church all day long and do their little thing and carry their Bibles with them and think that there is religious freedom in this country. That is an illusion. Because the minute that religion interferes with the state, then it becomes illegal, or they're, you know. Now state and the whole thing is that state and religious matters are supposed to be completely separate, completely separate. This is what it boils down to. If we had religious freedom, you could walk around and do anything that was within your belief system, use any sacrament, do any ritual, because that's your belief system and that's your religion. You see how ridiculous the whole thing is? That people walk around in this mentality that they think that they have certain freedoms. The freedoms are gone. They might have never been there in the first place. But as long as we have a semblance of, or a pretending that there is, religious tolerance or freedom of religion in this country, then that very well may be the only refuge we have left, or can try to reform or say that we have left, is the the religious aspect or the sacred aspect. But people aren't paying attention to sacred aspects, even the ones that go to church and even the ones that go door to door and even the evangelists and everybody do whatever they want anyway. And that's the really insidious thing, is that some people say, yeah, we have certain precepts that we're going to hold to, thou shalt not kill and this and that and whatever, and diddly squat. Bullshit and diddly squat. Because they have, certain precepts that they're supposed to follow and they don't. And so but those people are okay because it's in an organized context, all right? If it's approved, and if the rituals are approved, it's just like, I think it was President Bill Clinton, probably the only sane thing he ever did, must have had a minute of lucidity, made peyote okay to be used by the the native people of this land. Peyote is a strong hallucinogenic cactus, or in that family. And you take it and you see visions, and it's a beautiful thing. Well, if you're going to do that, why do they have such a big problem with marijuana, which is 10 times less powerful, helps people out? Now that's just a sacrament, that should be accepted everywhere. Whoever wants to use it in their belief system. I mean, I'm just using that as an example. Or what if you want to burn sage or offer Great Spirit, a bowl of tobacco, sage, and sweet grass or whatever, and you do an offering, or any kind of herbal thing. What are they going to do? Rush up to your pipe and look in there and see what you got in there? Yes, probably. I mean, I know some places that won't even allow some buildings. Now I know it's a violation of you can't burn a candle. You know how many religions burn candles? Including the Catholics, or light a candle for a person that they're praying for, or see, that's what I mean. So if you don't have that basic freedom of religion or the right to believe or the right not to believe, if that really has been violated, just as I explained that it has been, then what's left? Who cares about? It's all about your relationship with Great Spirit and how you choose to express that. Okay? Let me repeat that. It's all about your relationship with the supernatural or Great Spirit and how you choose or what rituals you choose to express that. And if any one of these things is trampled on or limited in any way, it's a violation of the First Amendment of these people that wrote it. It's a violation of moral law first and foremost, but we're talking within the context of their own laws. And it's a violation. And this spreads into all areas. Because, like I say, if there is a lack of freedom of religion or freedom of belief systems or freedom of your interaction with the supernatural, and I got news for you, everything's supernatural. Everything is spiritual. There isn't anything on this planet that isn't spiritual just because we can't see it. Everything has an aura, everything has an energy field, everything is supernatural. So we should just have the right to do anything that we want to do and walk anywhere we want to walk and be anybody who we want to be and express ourselves in any fashion that we want to express ourselves in, as long as we don't hurt other people, because that's a basic moral law. But yet these same people that say, you know, don't, that they have the rule book that says don't hurt other people and help other people, be the good Samaritan, what do? Just the friggin' opposite. And then they piously walk around like with a little halo on their head, okay? Because I'm a Christian, or I'm this, or I'm that. Doesn't mean, I'm not picking on Christians. Anybody can think they have a halo. That's a metaphor. Anybody can think, oh, it's, you know, anybody should be able to believe anything that they want to believe. That doesn't mean you have to accept their belief. Freedoms are not here anymore, people. I got news. I don't know if they ever were, really, since the founding of this great land. The founding of it. How dare them? Been here a long time. Yes, some people have been here a long, long time. It's all rather pathetic, isn't it? You wonder how that, I almost have to laugh. I have to laugh or I'd be crying, because how do they get away with this stuff? How does one man get away with suppressing another man's spirit? Is that right? That might bring up the, the point of, in a way, your spirit can't be suppressed because you are a free spirit. No matter if they shackled you, put you in chains, beat you, did whatever they wanted to do to your physical being, your spiritual being is free, isn't it? And people that know that, like myself, people that realize that your spirit is always free, sometimes it's kind of hard to look down at the physical and say, this is what they're doing to my physical presence. They're violating everything that my spirit says is free. Get my drift there? Because when you have one foot in the spiritual world and one foot in the physical world, which a lot of us do, then it's kind of hard to live with certain things. Guess it boils down to freedom, doesn't it? There is no freedom. I just can't. Nobody's free. And you know why they're not free is because nobody cares. And half the people don't realize they're not free. I live in a free country. Man, talk about delusion. Delusion. Nobody lives in a free country. I don't think. There's rules everywhere. In case you haven't noticed, little cameras, I've gone over this before. Threats coming through the mail from the government, and see, they want you to live under a certain set of rules, but they don't live under those rules themselves. Alright? I know I'm getting a little off the subject here, but it all has to do with hypocrisy and lies. So if they have rules that they just regularly break, like for instance, you go in and try to rent an apartment, or you go in and try to buy something, and they say, oh, your credit rating's not good. Well, how did they get that? How did they come to that conclusion when, let's take the United States of America, there's 17, 18 trillion dollars in debt. Is that good credit? $18 trillion in debt. And the international credit rating agency Standard & Poor's downgraded the United States of America's credit rating. But you know what they did? They forced them, under threat, to raise it back up again. That would be like us going down to whoever our credit ratings are and forcing them to raise our credit rating. Can you imagine where we would end up if we tried to do that? So these people that say we live on a system of credit don't have any. The dollar is going down the tube. And see, that's this. I knew this would work. That's their religion, because that's their belief system. And so they try to enforce that on everybody, which means they're forcing their belief system on you in a sense. Get my drift? Because that's a belief system. Their government, their laws, their rules that they don't live by, but yet they want to enforce on other people. That is the height of selfishness, hypocrisy, and just pure moronic, psychotic behavior. So that's your little lesson today about religion and sacred practices and you thinking you're free. I have a link down below to the Campfire Council, Campfire-Council, and we are considered a sacred organization. And one of the reasons I formed this organization is because that is one of the few avenues left, even though that we don't have, that's the way you have to go, because that's the way of least, when you have a belief system. Let's say our belief system is helping our fellow man. Our belief system is living next to nature, the sacred ways of the indigenous people. Let's say that's our belief system. Does that sound pretty good to you? Getting back to nature, getting back to the indigenous ways of the people that lived here before the other people came in. Being able to survive out in the wilderness, being able to survive on a mental, spiritual level in this vast wilderness, this desolate landscape that we live in called society. People need to be re-educated. You know what re-education is? It means they've been brainwashed, and so you have to deprogram them. Just like what I'm doing right now with you. If you think this is worth anything, if you think I speak truth, then support me in this effort. Support me in this effort. Join this effort. You're going to find anything like this anywhere else? Somebody speaking on these kind of terms, enlightening you to what's really going on, trying to band people together, and not to form a belief system. This sacred society accepts whatever your belief system is, unlike the state. And our belief system is that you should believe the way you want to believe as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. And we might offer sacred ways, indigenous ways, loving ways, sitting around in a council talking about things, helping people, knowing their first name, not pretending that we're something we're not, being honest and out front about what we want in this life, which is to be one with this great spirit or the supernatural, and to express it the way we want to. And this particular organization has an emphasis on natural and re-education into the natural and re-education into living in accordance with nature. If you're interested in this, or want to volunteer, or want to donate, we are a nonprofit organization, campfirecouncil.com. Link is below. Please go there and check it out. There might be a little sign that pops up here too. We need your support. We appreciate it. And we need you to, we wish that you would. It's your choice. We wish that you would at least check into what we're about. go to the website and read the prospectus, read about Campfire Council. And there is a donation button and a sign up for the letter, the newsletter, and some of the things that we're looking for to propagate this reality and to try to regain excuse me, to try to regain what we should have, and that's freedom of belief without anybody saying or forming a judgment about it. Look, I don't care what you believe if you come in here. One thing though that you will learn is in all belief systems, nature plays an important part, and if you're not next to nature, that's not being next to God or next to the spirit that moves in all things, and we're just trying to help you with that and get you out of this religious oriented belief system that is a controlled thing by the government, that is kind of forced on you in a day-to-day. And if somebody doesn't do this, who's going to do it? It's called being a spiritual warrior. Let's just leave it there for now. We'll start with spiritual and see what comes down the road. Okay, excuse me. So this is Thunder signing off. I've said enough, and I'm getting to that 32-minute mark, and people like start after that, you know. But really, you should listen. How small of that is. I don't make these videos that often. Anyway, go to the website, please, and appreciate all those people that have supported us thus far. Talk to you later. And I always say blessings and namaste, but I also say over and out because I'm a pilot. I don't know, old habits die hard. Later on.